The world is watching. US is heading towards its presidential elections shortly. What happens next will affect the entire globe, not just the US. What will happen to the global economy? What will be the shift in the trade balances? What happens in London, in China, in India, and other parts of the world? What will happen to the conflicts that we see in Russia, Ukraine, and big one in Middle East? Will it get resolved to everyone's satisfaction, or will there be more flare-ups? What happens to the strength of the US dollar? And many, many more uncertainties, all dependent on one election, the US election. And more, how does it affect you and me, our local economy, our jobs? Today, I want to just look at some of the impact this huge event happening in the US will have on our lives. Let's jump in.
Three, two, one.
Let's go.
One of the first impacts that you see whenever there's been a US presidential elections is the impact on the market. The investors are very cautious. They are not sure what the outcome will be. And especially in these elections when both the candidates have very divergent views on many, many policies and economic issues, we will start seeing a lull in the market activity and the stock markets actually decline as people are cautious in putting in money and maybe also withdraw money from the markets. The first impact you will see is in the Dow Jones and then a cascading across the globe. And since there's a very different paths chosen by the two candidates on economic policies, investors and companies are going to be a little cautious because they're uncertain of the outcome of this election and will hold back any investments to be done not only in the US but it will impact the international trade and will have a far reaching impact on the global economy. The election outcome can significantly impact the value of the currency too because investors tend to invest in those currencies which they see as strong and stable. Any worry that that could get impacted post elections will make them withdraw from those currencies and impact in the global economy. If you take a look at some case studies of past elections and their effects on the global economy, you'll see, for example, in the 2016 US elections led to a significant decline in the stock prices and investors were uncertain about the future of the US economy. However, once the election results were announced, stock prices began to rise as investors became more confident in the new administration's economic policies. Similarly, the 2008 election led to a significant shift in trade policies as the new administration focused on promoting free trade agreements. This shift in trade policies led to an increase in international trade, which had a positive impact on the global economy. Look at the 1992 elections, which led to the significant change in US trade policy, particularly with regards to China. The new administration's decision to grant China the most favored nation status led to the significant increase in trade between the two countries, which had a positive impact on the global economy. These case studies demonstrate how the outcome of a presidential election can have far reaching consequences for the global economy, including changes in trade policies, stock market reactions, and shift in international relationships. One key moment that stands out is the 2016 market crash that occurred immediately following the election. The unexpected outcome of the election led to the significant decline in stock prices as investors were caught off guard by the result. However, once the initial shock had passed, stock prices began to rise as investors became more confident in the new administration's economic policies. The volatility highlights the significant impact that these elections have on the global economy, particularly in the short term. In another instance, the 2000 election resulted in the surge in the stock market as investors became confident in the new administration's economic policy. The surge in stock prices had a positive impact on the global economy as it led to an increase in the consumer spending and economic growth. These examples demonstrate how the outcome of an election can have a significant impact on the global economy, particularly in the short term. In the aftermath of the election, investors and policymakers are left to pick up the pieces and try to make sense of the new economic landscape. As they do, the global economy begins to adjust to the new reality, and the ripple effects of the elections are felt across the globe. From changes in trade policies to shift in international relations, the outcome of the US presidential election has far reaching consequences for the global economy. I want to dwell on a few specific areas of impact. Depending on the outcome, a protectionist government can impose trade restrictions and tougher policies which can impact the US and the global economy. Conversely, if you have a globalist regime coming in which could ease out the barriers to business, we could see a surge in international trade. The US Federal Reserve's monetary policy and their decisions are hugely impacted not just by factors such as the economic realities but also by the political climate. Will there be an increase in taxation and other policy decisions which could impact investments that come in and further impact the global economy? US government policies which are aggressively pushing for climate changes and control would focus on giving special encouragement to renewables and sustainable way of energy would boost a global investment in this, while conversely somebody who wants to roll back some of these policies can see a boost happening into our traditional oil and gas industry and see them booming back. So that's a completely different direction that the sustainability industry will see based on who wins. As we spoke earlier, depending on who wins, the stock markets in the US will react encouragingly or with caution, and every move of the US market sees a ripple effect in the global stock markets. Policies on tech innovation, data privacy, etc., can impact the whole technology innovation and growth. If you had a government which sort of is tough on the regulations, you will see a dampener on the speed at which the tech innovation happens, while conversely an easing out and hands-off government can see a rapid growth in technology innovation. Wrapping up, it's clear that the US presidential elections and who wins will have a significant impact not just to the US but also to you and me and the international community. It will have an impact on the job market, to international trade, to wars and the conflicts that we see all around us. It's important for us to stay informed and stay on top of what's happening in the US. Thanks for watching, and I'm very keen to get your comments on what you feel about this presidential elections, which is, in my mind, going to have an historic impact on the future of the world. Till the next time, stay unstoppable.